political party poopers got you down? Shake it off and join me, Dennis Sonar Green, every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. on WRMN for A Political Talk Show, where we cut through the doom and gloom with a focus on America first, constitutional values, and a populist perspective that puts you, the citizen, at the center of the conversation. At WRMN, the talk of the town, we're not afraid to challenge the status quo and bring you the straight talk you need. Whether you're frustrated with the political establishment or looking for a clear, some nonsense analysis, this show has you covered. Tune in. Let's take on the issues together with a fresh, unfiltered approach. Catch us every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. on WRMN, A Political Talk Show. WRMN, the talk of the town.
Welcome to the show. This is the truth about Chicago sports with your host, Marcus Mack. We are here, WRMN, 1410 AM in Elgin, Illinois. Let's go.
Let's get it.
Yes. Hey, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of The Truth About Chicago Sports. I'm joined by Nick No Gimmick Johnston, and also on the call-in line, we have Blake Cowell joining us for the show. Blake, what's going on, brother?
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good morning, my friend. Are you ready to talk some sports, baby?
We got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So we left off last week, Nick. We had this big matchup packed in front of us. It was Dodgers, Yankees, stars galore. I was hoping for 7 games. And then Freddie Freeman decided to become King Kong.
Yes, sir.
And bash the Yankees to the ground. Blake, what went on there?
Well, you just said it yourself. Freddie Freeman, I mean, the guy had an insane series. He homered in the first 3 games or the first 4 games, and then when the 5th game came around, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. This series is going to come down to who could be more disciplined, who could take the extra 90 feet, and it wasn't the Yankees. They collapsed in Game 5. It looked like they were going to kick it back to Dodgers when they were up 5, and just errors galore, undisciplined. Aaron Boone folded in the biggest moments, and the Dodgers proved why they were the better team.
Yes, indeed. Nick, from your perspective, how did you see that? Were you surprised that it didn't go 7 games?
No, honestly, I was ready for it to go. I think 6 is what I predicted for sure, just to make it nice and in between, still competitive. But yeah, that was fun to watch from top to bottom. On paper, yeah, it might be boring 5 or 4-1, just 5 games, but when you actually look at those games, the walk-off grand slam in Game 1, and right now, it might just be just the bias because it's been so close, the recency bias, but that might be one of the greatest comebacks in just all of sports right there. That just
it was phenomenal.
Just the debacle, like you said, the debacle just falling apart. The little league ball that was going on the Yankees side of things. I didn't know that. I guess is there a Fat Joe curse? There's a Fat Joe curse. Apparently,
yes, so
where they put him up on the jumbotron.
Yeah, I heard about this,
and it's happened multiple times now. So Fat Joe. Watch at home, my guy.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to the Yankee fan that jumped in Mookie Betts' glove. Man, that had to be one of that alone added an element of excitement to this World Series that was like, okay, yeah, we got Yankees Dodgers, baby.
Yeah. It was that. I mean, I just love that Steve Bartman had to be watching, just sitting there like, are you kidding me? You're short of throwing these guys a parade. You might as well give them a statue out there, and I'm still in witness protection. It's absolutely ridiculous.
You know the crazy part, not even the guy, the crazy part wasn't the guy that was reaching for the ball, but the guy next to him that grabbed Mookie Betts' other arm so that the guy could get the ball out. That was where it was like, wow, this is Yankees Dodgers, baby. Yeah, it lived up to all the hype, I have to say. And, I was really down on Judd. Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And then in Game 5, he comes alive and then turns it to the heel all over again with a routine catch that he just, he was trying to concentrate down that line rather than concentrating ball first, then throw. Can't do it the other way around. And I mean, I'm watching Game 5 and I'm sitting there and he comes up to the plate. Right away, bam, massive. So I go, okay, it's on. When he did that, I said, wow. I said, oh man, the Yankees are they're going to actually try to do this. They're going to make a comeback, and then the Dodgers just said, nope, not today.
That was Aaron Judge. Not only his first error in the postseason, just his first error all year long.
Yeah,
proved to be very costly. Obviously, it started the beginning of that just avalanche in the 5th inning. It was just top to bottom. There's tons of things right there, and it's just a shame that you look at that Garrett Cole performance right there. One of his best. Even within that inning, he still strikes out, I believe, Max Muncy and Ohtani right there. Just absolutely insane that he was having it right there. But then he has a little bit of a brain fart, doesn't cover first when Anthony Rizzo gets the ball. It was all over the place. And yeah, just like I said, just a very fun series with all those potential Hall of Famers. It was the most former MVPs we've ever had in a World Series.
Yeah, it was crazy, right?
Yeah, for some people that are just sitting there like, the two evil empires, you want to root for the meteor to hit, but no, this was exciting from top to bottom. This was just, if you're just a general basic baseball fan, this was great to watch.
And it was great for baseball.
Yes.
Blake, I want to ask you, for Ohtani's legacy, I mean, he's already a unicorn. He's already trending where he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But we've seen great players like Mike Trout not be able to get to the ultimate pinnacle and have that World Series ring. What does this ring really mean for Ohtani overall? Does this ring potentially put him in the conversation for best baseball player ever?
It's a good start. It's a good start. Mike Trout, never been there. I mean, there's a handful of superstars that have never gotten there. There's a handful of superstars that have never won it. And for now, this conversation with Shohei Ohtani, he's not thinking, oh, I got the first one. He's thinking, all right, how many more can I get now? Mm-hmm. Because this is year one of his contract, and he's on the Dodgers for the next, 10 seasons, probably even, he can even sign past that. So, the Dodgers are going to do everything they can to maximize this next decade of their roster. They still have guys that are, obviously they still have Mookie Betts. They still have Freddie Freeman, and I'm sure that they'll be in the Juan Soto talks as, the offseason ramps up. So,
my goodness.
They're looking to add. They're a team that doesn't they keep their foot on the gas. They keep moving forward. But I guess back to Shohei Ohtani. He's already one of the best talents of all time. And now the resume is just catching up to it.
Well, you look at some of the great players, like we mentioned, Mike Trout, no ring. Barry Bonds, I don't care if he's blackballed or not. He was one of the best baseball players ever played the game. I believe no World Series ring, if I'm correct. Hank Aaron, no World Series ring, if I'm correct. And considered one of the greatest baseball players also. So you can be a giant in this game, play many years, and still walk away without a World Series ring. So for Ohtani to get this, and maybe it's still early part of his career, right? He's still a young pup. So I definitely think this goes a long way for putting him in that conversation.
Hank Aaron won a World Series.
Hank Aaron did get one.
1957.
Okay, Hank Aaron did get one. So, I think that this was a huge moment for him. And if he does go back to being a two-way player again, pitching and hitting and batting, I think that cements his legacy, man. He'll be right up there with Willie Mays,
that's
Babe
the scariest
Ruth.
thing.
He's on Mount Rushmore baseball.
That's the scariest thing, the fact that he wasn't pitching and the Dodgers were so dominant. They didn't have Tyler. They had Tyler Glasnow, but didn't. He was hurt basically all season. Didn't need him. They added Jack Flaherty. It's also just a big plus when you make the moves at the deadline. This is what comes up of it. You get Tommy Edman, performs in the NLCS. He hits almost 400. He did hit 400 throughout the entire NLCS, and then carried over a little bit into the World Series as well. And then just that lights out the bullpen from top to bottom, adding Michael Kopech, who, it's a shame that he couldn't get it done for the White Sox in any sort of way, but he was ready to roll right there for sure.
Looks like we got somebody on the call-in line. Let's see what we got happening. Hey, what's going on, caller? You're in. There, Ronnie.
Hello.
Hey, hello. How's it going? Welcome to the show. This is The Truth About Chicago Sports.
My name's Uncle Samsonite.
Hey, Uncle. How's it going? You want to talk some baseball?
Yeah, but you could call me Samsonite.
Samsonite. Got it. Samsonite. Talk some baseball with us. What's going on?
Yeah, I play baseball, and you're next. It's time to play Uncle Samsonite. Ah!
All right.
All right.
Sounds-
Hey, that
he
was
wound
cool.
up call his own home run call, I guess. That's fine.
Hey,
Sure
you
enough.
know what? We love it. Hey, we always love it here at the Truth About Chicago Sports at WRMN 1410. Feel free to call us up at Talk Sports anytime, 847-931-1410. Blake, we were left off talking about Ohtani's legacy and winning this ring. So now that we're saying that there's the chance for him to become on this the Mount Rushmore baseball, should he pitch again? I bounced that off to you first, Blake, and then you, Nick, after that. Do you think Ohtani should ever pitch again?
I mean, yeah, if he's fully capable. I mean, obviously he's fully capable, but if he's fully healthy and willing to do it, why not? Because, we talked about in the past, Marcus, and even we talked about Garrett Cole. This breed of elite dominant starting pitching is becoming a premium in the MLB. Garrett Cole goes out there, gets shelled for one inning, and has the guts to go back out there and keep pitching.
Yes.
Pitch over 100 pitches. Like, when I was watching it, I'm getting, in the back of my head, I'm getting prime Madison Bumgarner when, he went out in the 2015 World Series, and he had to just keep eating innings. And like Nick said, the weakest part of this Dodgers team, like, they didn't have Glasnow. They didn't have Clayton Kershaw. Jack Flaherty was not that good in the World Series.
Wow. I mean, think about that, right?
Yeah, their weakest part of their team was their starting pitching. So, and they still won in 5 games against the Yankees. So I think he should if he's capable and healthy enough to, because they do need it. I mean, you can never have enough starting pitching. And on top of that, he's an elite starting pitcher. So the elite starting pitching with all that, if he starts the season and realizes that innings and pitch count become an issue, well, then you can wean off it a little bit because, like we said, he's got 9 more years on this contract. Let's not ruin his career, especially with this championship window. I mean, for the Dodgers, it's wide open for 9 more seasons.
Oh, yeah. They're set up for dynasty. That would be the word.
Of course, yeah.
My worry is with pitching, you get hurt, you're out. It takes away from batting as well. And my thought is maybe not go back as a starting pitcher, but what's wrong with being a relief guy? I think that would be the perfect role for him to come back in. We need you for a couple innings. We know you got elite stuff. Boom, you're in, but it doesn't put the stress on the arm and you getting injured and having to miss time again.
Yeah. I think that would be actually be the preferred role. I like that what you mentioned. Yeah, being a closer wouldn't be the worst decision. And that was always the talk of the town towards the end. I know people were, no, he's not going to pitch. No, he's not going to pitch. But everyone all the talking heads were like, but what if it's Game 7? It's the 9th inning. Why not throw him in there?
I only need 3 batters.
Exactly.
I only need 3 batters.
It was in the back of everyone's mind. I'm not going to sit here and say needs to be back in the starting pitching lineup, but clearly doesn't. I would just be one of those things like, if he's back to pitching, let's get him in the rotation, not knock the rust off, but it's not a must at this second. Yeah. But glad that's why they signed him. That's why they signed him for that long and paid him that amount of money to be able to do both. So I think he'll be back. He'll be doing both sometime soon.
Are the Dodgers the favorite for next year?
Oh man, well, that's pending if Mike Trout goes to Philly, maybe.
Does Soto make a difference too in that landscape?
Soto's gonna make a huge difference.
Why doesn't he stay with the Yankees?
That's tough.
Because money, Marcus.
The Yankees can't pay?
Oh, they sure can, but, I mean, the guy turned down $450 million at 20 years old. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm getting thrown $450 million in my face,
I'm flying private.
It down.
I'm flying private, baby.
And there's a team right across the city in New York where that owner, similar to the Steinbrenners, Cohen, he doesn't care about money. They cut payroll with Scherzer and Verlander to tee up this moment to go, hey, Juan Soto, here's a blank check. You fill it out. Come be a Met for the next 15 years. If he leaves New York, I think he's just going to the other side of town. But, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to change the landscape. Those two players right there, Trout, Soto, wherever they end up, it definitely will make the difference of how baseball is going to be played out next year.
And those post game comments from Juan Soto after Game 5, it wasn't. Nothing about what he said was very convincing either way. Of like, oh, he's going to stay here, or no, he's definitely going to go. It was very. He played it very well for himself.
Yes, he did.
So
yes, he
I think
did.
he's he was in that realm of like, oh, I'll test free agency, I'll see what comes, but there's only going to be X amount of like actual teams that are going to be being able to actually pay him because he's just going to be.
Facts.
And it's going to be he's my age. He's 26 years old. It's worth giving a 10-year. Maybe even $1 billion contract given to.
Where do the Cubs play into this, Blake?
Oof.
Well, where do the Cubs?
Do they have a chance?
Actually, well, I'm going to say it this way because I was looking at the DraftKings odds-on favorites to sign, and I think the Yankees are first, then the Mets. But the Cubs come in, oddly enough, at like the fourth best odds at minus 1,500. Here's what I'll say about the Cubs. Their philosophy ever since Jed Hoyer really took over, and even with Theo Epstein on his back half of his general managing or his president of baseball operations tenure, the Cubs have no problem spending money. They were the ninth biggest payroll in the MLB this year. It obviously didn't come to fruition like they wanted it to. But where the Cubs really lack is they are not willing to give out the 10, 15-year contracts. They want shorter deals. They want player options. They want mutual options. They want team options. And the fact of the matter is guys like Bryce Harper, guys like Shohei Ohtani, guys like Kyle Schwarber and Castellanos when they signed with the Phillies, and now guys like Juan Soto, they want 15 years, $700, $650 million, guaranteed. They know that their life is set.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is the Cubs aren't willing to do that. They'd rather have a fifth-year option or a sixth-year option to where they can kind of pivot out of it if the contract's not. At this point, you have to be okay with the back end of these contracts looking terrible. That's just how it is.
Yeah, that's facts. And I got a funny thing for you right here, Nick. I thought about to myself, I go, if he signed with the White Sox, that would probably mean that a funeral happened and we got a new owner.
Yeah.
That's cold-hearted, but I'm just being real. That's the only way that guy signs with the White Sox.
If you're Juan Soto, why wouldn't you want to be the highest paid athlete in Chicago White Sox history? You can get a $125 million deal, and you'd be that. You can get it. You'd be breaking records.
If the Sox signed Soto, they would have to put Jerry Reinsdorf in a concrete cell somewhere, locked away, and have access to his bank account without him being able to veto anything. That's just the sad part about it, is that this team, you talk about the team that desperately needs the guy, it's that team on the South Side.
Yeah.
And the sad part about it, we know they're not even in a thought of it.
No, we were mentioning this in the last show on the Rise. Even if Will Venable, the new White Sox manager, adds 20 more wins to this team, there's still going to be a 100-loss season. So it's just as simple as that.
It's just pathetic over there. And so, I'll tell you this much. Yeah, it might seem like a pipe dream at this very moment for the Cubs because obviously we know we got major players, right? And the Dodgers, let's be honest, yeah, they got a set roster, but don't think for one second it won't cross their minds to throw a filler out there to the kid.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised. I honestly would not be surprised if the Cubs aggressively go after Juan Soto. Very aggressively go after him. And I think that is that peak. Man, if you get a guy like, talk about changing your fortunes on the north side,
Yeah.
But also, as we saw with the Ohtani deal, the Cubs have been used as a pawn before. We know that Ohtani never had any intentions of coming, but he used the Cubs as a bargaining chip to get more money.
That's true. Very true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Ohtani, when he signed it, came out afterwards. And, I'm not that close into the loop of the inner workings of free agent deals quite yet. But, it kind of came out that he always kind of wanted to just stay on the West Coast. And like you said, Nick, his post-game comments, it sounded like he was locationally driven. It sounds like it's going to be, he said, I'll listen to every offer. So if the Cubs come to the table and say, hey, we'll offer you this, well, then they have as good a shot as anybody. If it comes down to nickels and dimes, then it was never meant to be. And then that's when I can live with people being upset with Jed Hoyer, because if there's a guy that you should go spend 15 years for $600 million or 10 years for $650 million, it was either the guy last offseason And if you didn't get him, well, it's definitely this guy because there's not many other guys like Juan Soto out there.
No,
it's not.
This young, now with this power, now with all the great things that he brings to the team. Just hitting over there. If the wind's blowing out in Wrigley, I would definitely take Juan Soto for one right there. That'd be fun to see for sure.
Yeah.
For the Northside fans.
No, I think it's, it brings that star power here. It brings that legitimacy to the organization that they're really trying to get back to that World Series.
And that's what the Cubs were short of. They were just short, legit, one star for being in the wild card position. And if they add a guy like Juan Soto, you would just think like, okay, here's the division. That's going to be theirs for sure.
And that's all and we see that in baseball is that you just got to get to the playoffs.
Yes.
Like you do not have to be the best team in baseball. You just need to get to the playoffs. And if you do, you've got just as good a chance as anybody. We were very lucky to get Yankees, Dodgers. There's a reason it hasn't happened since what, 83?
80, yeah, I think it was 82 when last time
they met.
Yeah.
There's a reason. It's not easy, even though these heavyweights gear themselves up for it. There's no guarantees, and you get a plucky team like the Arizona Diamondbacks last year, and all of a sudden you've got a whole new World Series landscape. So, to me, I feel like if the Cubs can make some type of move in the offseason, I definitely see them having that chance to get back to that World Series mantle. But it's going to be tricky, and hopefully they can find a way. Once again, this is the WRMN 1410 AM in Elgin, Illinois. This is the truth about Chicago sports. I'm here sitting in studio with Nick No Gimmick Johnston. We're joined on the call-in line by Blake Cowell, and this is Marcus Mack here. Please feel free to call us at 847-931-1410. Talk sports with us. When we get back from break, we're going to be covering Bulls. We're going to be covering Blackhawks, and we're also going to be covering Bears. We got a lot to talk about with those Bears. Let me tell you something, Blake. I still haven't lost the faith. I still haven't lost the faith. I'm perturbed, but as we talk about this, we're going to really talk about some more of where this thing could turn positive as we get ready to wrap up with this recap of the World Series. So next year, National League. Who do we got? I'm thinking Padres.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm thinking Padres.
It was a long off season. I mean, you gotta. If I had to pick right now, it's tough to not pick the Dodgers. They were the team that won it, obviously, and they weren't even at full strength health. So I'll stick with the Dodgers. It's a square answer. It's a chalk answer. But big off season, maybe that changes once January kind of comes around.
Yeah, like I said, I'm banking on a really a stretch. I don't want to break my back stretching on this one. I think Mike Trout gets moving. He sees a lot. He's like, okay, Ohtani got there without the Angels. Maybe I could get my bags packed and go out and move somewhere else too. He's a Philly guy. He's big into the Eagles. Not the worst place. And I think if he goes there, as long as he's healthy, that NL might be for the Phillies.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
That's just a pipe dream if they get him.
Just a pipe dream for sure. And I definitely now, if the American League side, the Yankees, that's the trickier part. Even though they are the big payroll, the way Cleveland played, and we see that young talent still coming up, the way we saw Detroit kind of rise, I don't see the Yankees returning out of the American League. It's too hard to pick right now. And honestly, I think that Soto stays in the American League. And if he does, then that's where we're going to be able to pick who that next team is going to be to challenge possibly Dodgers again.
Yeah. You can see maybe Baltimore, as long as they don't fall apart at the end, you would think they would be right back in it as well. That whole AL East is going to be tough again, I would think, for sure. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting how this all plays out. Like we said, with the two big free agents, Trout and Soto, are really going to be the ones to kind of drive that landscape. So when we return, we'll come back and we'll be breaking down some Bulls, Blackhawks, and Bears here on The Truth About Chicago Sports.
For a little lighthearted lawlessness on Sunday afternoons, listen to Handle on the Law from 4 to 7 p.m. Handle on the Law is a unique combination of useful legal advice and outrageous handle remarks. Whether you're talking about Big Brother, big business, big legal problems, or Big Macs, you'll rarely find Bill without an opinion. His rapid-fire commentary gives listeners the information they crave in the way they crave it. It's Handle on the Law, Sunday afternoons from 4 to 7 p.m. right here on WRMN, AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
In our household, we put family first. I'm Dan Ugasti. Right now, Illinois families are suffering with rising property taxes and grocery bills, along with communities that are left safe. Keeping family members from moving out of Illinois isn't easy. As your state representative, I'm working to be a voice of reason in a time of extremism. That means I'm focusing on the issues that unite us, bringing down property taxes, creating opportunities, and controlling government spending. I'm Dan Ugasti, and I'd be honored to have your vote.
Paid for by citizens for Dan Ugasti.
Batteries Plus Bulbs is more than batteries and bulbs. It's your repair shop for Apple devices, Samsung Galaxy devices, and more. Located on Randall Road, just south of 20 in Elgin, Batteries Plus Bulbs fills all your battery and light bulb needs in one stop. They have the largest selection of batteries for ATVs, cameras, phones, laptops, scooters, cars and homes, and everything else. Looking to save money with energy-efficient LED or holiday lighting? Stop in at Batteries Plus Bulbs in Elgin. Go to batteriesplus.com for special offers.
Discover the authentic taste of Italy at Massiano's Pizza and Pastaria of Elgin. There is one inexhaustible aspect of everyday life that never dulls, namely the simple pleasure of eating and drinking. Massiano's wants to make sure that this is the best part of your day. Visit Massianos.com and sign up to view their special offers all year long. Delivery, carry out, or dine in, enjoy it anyway, because life is good at Massiano's. Searching for a financial partner that truly has your best interest at heart? Join KCT Credit Union, where they're more than just a bank. They're a not-for-profit financial cooperative. KCT members are owners, meaning profits go back to you in the form of lower loan rates, higher savings rates, and fewer fees. Experience personalized service that puts you first. Become a part of KCT, where your financial well-being is their top priority. Visit kctcu.org. Each account insured up to $250,000 by member's choice. This institution is not federally insured.
From morning coffee to your evening commute, WRMN 1410 AM is here for you. The faithful friend that brings you local news, timely topics, and the friendliest voices in the Valley. Stay informed, entertained, and engaged with our full lineup of shows, streaming all day, every day at WRMN1410.com or on the WRMN app. Wherever you are, we're right there with you. So why switch stations? Stick with the one that has it all. WRMN 1410 AM, your daily companion, your constant conversation.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
In the middle of the night, everything will be all right if you listen to Coast right here on WRMN 7 days a week from midnight to 5 a.m. Each night on Coast to Coast, listeners are captivated by George Noory with discussions on news and current events, conspiracy theories, UFOs, life after death, and all things curious and unexplained. Coast to Coast, every night, midnight to 5 a.m. right here on WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
And welcome back to the show. This is the truth about Chicago sports here at WRMN 1410 AM. Let's go, baby.
Oh, get it going.
All right, now we're going to start this out by talking some Bulls. Guys, for the first time in 2 years, the Bulls were over 500, only to lose yesterday to the Nets, 112 to 120. And I see this team, they've got a lot of, energy now. They're bouncing, they're up tempo. They still got, some same old parts, but some of the newer parts are fitting, like Zach LaVine's fitting in with Josh Giddey pretty well. and we're seeing a team that's got some fight to them. And I asked you, Blake, starting this out, we talked about this a couple shows ago. Could the Bulls be maybe a playoff team, a team that could get into the play-in? And after seeing 6 games, jury's still out on me, but I'm starting to lean towards, I see something in this Bulls team.
Yeah, I actually got into a friendly discussion with someone the other day about the Bulls and where they kind of rank. And, you know, the big prize this NBA draft season coming up is going to be Cooper Flagg, the guy out of Duke. And they said, why are we not losing? And why should we not tank for Cooper Flagg? And I said, you know, I understand the mindset, but that is a loser mindset. And that is the mindset that Chicago sports has to shift out of. We are not Detroit. We are not St. Louis. We are not small market. And with this Bulls team, they have pieces that are good. And it's oddly working out. I mean, I didn't think Josh Giddey would kind of mold into this playmaker that he is, or kind of how he's always been able to distribute the basketball, but they're getting rebounding from Josh Giddey right now that they weren't getting at the level that they needed to with just Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu. That's really not their game. Their size doesn't allow it. But now they have a 6'8" point guard that can distribute the basketball, and he's even shooting the three pretty well too. So this final 5 stretch, like the 5 guys that are on the floor as the game comes down to the wire, it's been running a lot of Giddey, Kobe White, Levine, Vucevic, and then they've been kind of mixing in Ayo Dosunmu with that, a little bit of Lonzo Ball before he got hurt. For some reason, it's oddly kind of working for him, and I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of shifting to the point too where like they could be decent enough, a couple of games over 500. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with them. Just
for those that were sitting there last year, well, not last year, but a couple of months ago when the Bulls did make that trade, Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso.
Yeah.
Right now, Josh Giddey, 14.7 points per game, 8 rebounds on the nose, 6.8 assists per game. He's shooting 43% from the field. And our boy Alex Caruso over on the Oklahoma City Thunder, 2.2 points per game, 3 rebounds on the nose, 2.2 assists per game, shooting 25% from the field. So again, for all those that were jumping the gun, the Bulls got scammed, the Bulls got hosed. Nope. We got this kid who's figuring it out slowly but surely. The developmental game was there. Like I said, there was a ton of upside with Josh Giddey, and we're kind of seeing it right now. So very early on, small sample size for sure. Don't want to jump the gun just yet, but the Bulls did not get cooked.
No, and you know what? I'm giving shots out to the front office because they did get slaughtered on social media. How you going to give up our best defender? You brought this guy in. He was underwhelming at Oklahoma. What were you thinking? And you know, I remember when the trade happened, and I said, you know, this was a sneaky good move. 1A, it gave them the ability, if they needed to move on from Zach LaVine, if he decided he was going to come in and be the same cancer he was last year. And 2, it also gave that ability to have a playmaker now out there on the floor until Lonzo could come back up to speed. Because once the moment that Lonzo got hurt, we saw that was one of the things that the Bulls lacked massively for multiple years, was a playmaker out there on the floor. And we now see Giddey, who's able to spread the ball around. He's a really good fit, and he's working well with Levine and Kobe White. Shout out to Zach LaVine, who's come back with a fire. Let's be honest, he was a dead match last year. He didn't want to play. He was begging to get traded, and he had given up on the Bulls, and the Bulls seemed like they had given up on him. So I got to give credit for a guy that's come back. The beginning of this season, he seems dedicated. He's motivated. He's healthy. He looks great. He looks absolutely great. Like he took the offseason seriously, and he seemed like he rededicated himself to this organization. And you know what? If that's the things that could happen, along with Vucevic shooting excellent from the 3-point line right now, yeah, this team wholeheartedly could be a playoff team, because you know what? Tanking gets you nothing. And the ping pong ball doesn't always fall the tanker's way.
Yeah.
And so, you know what?
Always got to watch out for the frozen envelope, too.
Yeah, thank you. So let's just try for once to play to win. Whatever happens, how the chips fall is how the chips fall, but play to win. I want that wholeheartedly from this Bulls organization. And so far, we've been getting that. Not a lot of defense, which we knew. We knew that coming in, that we're going to be a little bit of a defensive struggle, but I love the up-tempo.
Yeah, they're just running and gunning. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to add in real quick. Yeah, they're shooting the three ball, and for the majority of the 8K era, it's kind of been, why can't this team shoot the three? Where's our 3-point shooting? And even though it's kind of the same guys, they've just developed more into 3-point shooters. I would assume not a big 3-point shooter. He's chipping in, like you said, Nick, Josh Giddey. I mean, he's only 22, and now he's developing his 3-point game. And Kobe White's still young too. So these guys are just, they have always had, I guess, the players to shoot the three, but now they're just developing, and we're seeing that progression now. And in the NBA, you got to be able to shoot the three ball. So
far, running and gunning seems to be the way the Bulls are going. Not a ton of defense being played.
No.
So far, again, it doesn't seem to be that needs to be done. In NBA, they don't play defense to begin with, so that's fine. That was kind of the Pacers template last year. They were just high scoring, almost
high energy,
140-point games left and right. It felt like for them, that could be the potential for the Bulls. It's tough to sustain that for sure. But if that's the route the Bulls are going to have to go, I can see them getting it done. At least, not it won't be championship caliber.
No.
But it's enough to get it done in this day and age when 2/3 of the conferences get into the playoffs. And I'm sitting here, I think the Bulls are better than at least 5 teams in the East. Maybe even another team that we thought was, if Joel Embiid doesn't want to play,
which doesn't surprise me.
He does want to play. He had a little. I heard him talking yesterday. He's like, I've given so much. It's not him giving up. It's just literally his body's not reacting well. So that's tough to see. But if I think the Bulls are better than a Tyrese Maxey-led 76ers team.
Yep.
I think the Bulls are better than the Raptors, the Pistons, maybe even the Atlanta Hawks. And that's going to be where they kind of need to fight. They're going to need to fight the Miami Heat. They're going to need to fight the Hawks, and maybe even going to need to fight with the Pacers for that play-in spot. Mm-hmm. Right now, they're sitting at 6. Again, very early on, because the Bucks only have 1 win. But it looks nice at the fact that come summertime, the Bulls probably will be in the postseason, so that'd be nice.
Yeah, we've definitely got some returns where it's like, wow, this is finally we're getting some returns on this team investing and pieces. And shout out to Jalen Smith, the kid coming off the bench. He was a sneaky signing, and he's been huge for the Bulls. He's averaging 13 right now. No, hold on. Was he? Well, hold on. I just had his stats. He's averaging actually 10 right now, 10 in 13 minutes. That's crazy. That means he's literally scoring almost a point for every minute he's on the court. That's the type of production I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need from, again, role players, just your bench guys. We need the old bench mob from the mid 2000s.
Remember that? Yeah. Oh, my God. Let's bring some days like that back.
Yep.
Some old bench mob. And so, like we said, it's early right now. But I got some high hopes. We got a caller on the line. He's been waiting here. Caller, we're going to get you in right now. Go ahead, caller. You're on the line. Welcome to the Truth About Chicago Sports.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good.
Good to hear from you as always. What's going on?
Oh, nothing much. It's nighttime here.
This is Australia.
Yes, early in the morning here, 1:43 a.m. Sunday.
Oh, man. We always love when you join us from all the way from down under. We appreciate it.
Say that again.
Down under. Thank you for checking in with us as always. We love you joining the show.
Oh, that's good. I like hearing about some American sports. I'm not into all of them, but I do find the baseball and the football and the ice hockey interesting.
Yes.
But that's only because the movies and the TV shows that had them as the main part of the show or the movie made it seem more interesting.
Yes, indeed. And thank you so much once again. We appreciate you for joining us. And that's all the way from down under, our Australian fan who loves to call in and check in with us and say hello. We appreciate her every time. And once again, that's for everybody out there. If you're listening to us and you need to find us and you're not in the vicinity of the 1410 radio range, guess what? We've got the WRMN app. We also stream through YouTube, and we've got one last little surprise for you guys out there in this world. You can now find us on LinkedIn as well.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
Nice.
yes. WRMN. We're spreading ourselves around all over. We can also find us on X, Twitter, whichever one you want to call that cesspool.
I think I finally crossed over from calling it Twitter to X.
I'm trying.
Yeah, I think it's
getting
finally
there.
the vernacular.
Like it's like it feels like okay, I can accept you.
I still say people tweet. But that's going to be that's just in everyone's vocabulary.
Yeah, it's a part of us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a part of us. We'll talk since we are talking some Bulls. We are in the United Center. Let's talk real quick, just briefly, a little hockey here. We see that the Blackhawks, they're gonna be playing today at 3:00, and right now they're still, kind of out there struggling a little bit to playing the Kings today. They're 3-7-1. We know they're not a playoff team, Nick. We know that. Yeah. They're not a playoff team. We talked last week with Sophia Blackburn, and we had a real in-depth discussion, and I want to bounce it to you. How do you feel about Connor Bedard's progression right now currently?
Well, of course, it's not resulting in wins, obviously, but still the hot ticket, the must-watch still is just, hey, you got to see what Connor Bedard's doing at the very least. You got to watch and see. If I was some sort of, I was a hockey kid and trying to learn the game, trying to actually get on the ice and okay, I'm just solely going to watch this kid for every single thing right there. And that's really the only thing to do right now. So until there's more big names, until there's more production around Connor Bedard and the rest of the squad, it's not much to write home about as a whole. But yes, you're just looking for individual wins every single time. And like I said, he's still young as could be. So he's gonna fill into those skates real soon. So it'll be nice to see. Like I said, when the talent will eventually transition into not only just more talent and highlights, but transition into wins. That's gonna be the goal for sure. And I think that's very much on the horizon.
Yeah, and once again, guys, you can check them out today, 3:00 ESPN Plus. Also, if you have the antenna, because as we know, Comcast Sports Channel is NBC. Comcast Sports Channel doesn't exist anymore, so we can't watch Bulls and Blackhawks in our own town.
Oh.
What is this? Are we in Green Bay?
Yeah,
come on. Since when did this turn into Wisconsin? Are we in Iowa? This is ridiculous. We live in Chicago. We can't watch Blackhawks and Bulls games. I don't understand it. But anyway, guys, it's time to get down to the big topic. And as I sit here with the custom Bears little shirt that I got, shout out to my queen for buying this for me. I got Marcus Mack, fit my number 55 on there. Nice. I'm loving it. But guess what I didn't love? How Matt Eberflus cost the Bears a victory last weekend. And I don't see it any other way. So let's just dive into that right now. Blake, tell me your feelings on the game against Washington.
Well, we're bringing up some past anger now. It's been about a week, and I thought I got past it, but now we got to bring it back up, which is fine because this game was a huge step back for them. It was super depressing to see how it ended up ending because for 3.5 quarters, Caleb Williams had the worst start of his NFL career. I mean, it was bad. Everything that he was kind of building up to wasn't translating in this game, and a lot of it had to do with some of his O-line, and definitely a lot of it had to do with some of the play calls down the stretch. But the thing that frustrates me the most from this game is that for 2 straight drives at the end of the game, he leads them down the field. He put everything past him what happened in the first 3 quarters, and for 2 drives, he leads the Bears down the field. One ends in a Doug Kramer handoff, which we'll get to later, I guess. And then the second one, he gets a touchdown or he leads a touchdown drive. And that's the one thing that I have to take from this as positive, because leading a game-winning drive on the road with 25 seconds to go, what more can you ask for from a rookie quarterback?
That's very true. I mean, he gave us the excitement that we need. Look, it doesn't matter how you start a football game. It just doesn't. It doesn't matter. It's how you finish. And the Bears showed that they had enough. Caleb showed that he had enough fortitude to push through and get this team the victory, only for it to be snatched away by an inept coach. Now, I do give some, okay, let me give him a little bit of slack. Gordon was hurt. Jaquan Brisker was hurt. I do wonder if those two are playing, does that Hail Mary pass get completed?
I wouldn't even think the Bears are probably not even in that position to be down.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I will cut him slack on that because one of your best defenders has been out for almost a month now, and probably I'd say out next to Jalen Johnson, your second best corner in Kyler Gordon. I know that people focus on Stevenson and they focus on Terrell Smith and the guys across from Jalen Johnson, but that slot corner, Gordon, is a linchpin to that defense. And so, yeah, he didn't have two of his heavy hitters out there. Sweat got hurt at the end. Everybody's wondering why Sweat wasn't in on that last play. Montez was hurt. So there were factors, but when you still decide to let them complete that 16-yard play, which you set up for a quarterback who had sore ribs, no way he can throw 70 yards, but yeah, he can throw 50. And then you double down on it in press conference by trying to say, oh, I made the right decision. That, to me, was where the biggest issue was at. Right there, Nick. Right there, Blake. That right there is a fireable offense. Okay, Dan Campbell came out a year ago and said, flat out, I cost the team a game. That's a coach, man. That's how you stand up for your locker room. Yeah. I lost that game, and I shouldn't, and I won't do that again.
There's a lot of confusion, I feel, in that locker room right now of what they can't say, how they can react to media, because we saw DJ Moore talk about some of the instances and some of the coaching decisions, and then he was later interviewed again. He had another media stint when he was like, okay, well, I was told to keep some stuff in-house now. It's just like, oh, well, what conversations are being held right now? And exactly that, in the sense of, like, what they can't say. They can't really even criticize their coach in any sort of way, in some sort of sense. So you don't want to feel. I don't feel like these guys are walking on eggshells in this locker room, but it's getting that sense of, like, Matt Eberflus, clearly he's got a little bit of an ego to him that wasn't being shown in that Hard Knocks. We saw maybe a different facade than what was actually being presented. And yeah, it was the coaching decisions that really took round this week. And like I said, but if I want to stay optimistic, the Bears holding the Commanders, just a top scoring offense, to under 20 points.
It's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, that was
ridiculous.
That was the big takeaway for me, for sure. So again, as poor as the Bears were playing that entire game, to be in an opportunity to win that game, that was huge. So it's not a matter of, oh, the talent this, the talent that. It's just a matter of, yes, it's there. We need some better decisions, and it starts with the coaching.
Yeah, and that's what the frustration is starting to build. See, you can fool us. We're not on the field. We're not in the locker room. But you can't fool those players. They know when you know what you're doing, and they know when you're lost. Now, this has been 4 games that Matt Eberflus is responsible for. Losing personally. You best believe it gets to a certain point where players are like, what's going on here? Enough is enough. DJ Moore is frustrated. He's seen this 4 times. Cole Kmet has seen this going back to another coaching regime before he came in and took over. Yes, you best believe there's frustration when you know you gave your all to pull out a tough victory, because winning on the road is not easy. Sometimes it's going to be ugly. Sometimes you're going to come out in those first couple quarters and you're going to get your butt whooped, and you're not going to be able to figure it out till that last couple drives.
Bears still yet to get an away win this year.
Still, right?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, once you've done your part, understand this is routine. 25 seconds, a team with 1 timeout, that's routine victory. And some kind of way the Bears end up on the losing side of that? Yeah, you best believe players are frustrated just like the fans.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I would also like to mention it's tough for sure. There's holding on every single play for sure, but there's an egregious non-call of the holding that set up the Hail Mary. And yeah, and I hate using the word lucky, but the Hail Mary is it's lucky. It's right there. But again, it's just a matter of again, you got to have the right people in the right position still. Would a timeout solve it? Maybe. Could it delay the inevitable? Sure, that could be a thing too, but you got to be in the right mindset. I'm not giving too much on Tyreek Stevenson. He was hyped. It is what it is.
It was a routine. Here's the thing, and it really kills me. Shout out to you, Blake, for setting me up with that awesome clip that I released on TikTok. Got 3,000 views on it. I felt like the man, but I got Commanders fans, right? They were talking trash in the clip. Oh, man, hey, our guy's going to do this. Our guy's going to do that. And then all of a sudden in that 4th quarter, every Washington fan had shut up. And that's why it hurts, because we had shut the Commanders up. All that talk about how great Jaden Daniels was, all that talk about, oh, we're glad that we didn't have, that you guys took Caleb and in that moment, Caleb had took their heart and Eberflus gave it back. And that's what makes me sick.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had a similar experience on my TikTok as well. And we had our game predictions, so I released that one as well. And a lot of Commanders fans, similar mindset, and it comes with the territory. If you're going to talk a little smack, you're going to get a little smack. But I mean, it's just the way of the road. It's how it goes. And Matt Eberflus is now 3-17 on the road as head coach as the Chicago Bears head coach, which, I mean, we talked about it last week and the week before. The first season, he goes 3-14. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of losses stacked up with that. But we're seeing the same song and dance every time they're on the road. At home, they're great. But guess what? Winning on the road is big, and winning on the road in the playoffs is huge. And right now, the Bears aren't in a position where they're just going to play a home playoff game every year. And so what does that look like for Matt Eberflus? Is this something that we should be concerned of long term, or is this something that he can figure out? And he's got the rest of the season to do it, because I've said it from the start. I'll say it again. I'll say it till the season's over. He's got to win 9 games. You cannot finish this season under 500. Matt Eberflus can, at least.
No, he cannot. And this game against the Cardinals is a must-win, because now you've got 2 egregious losses already on your record this year. You shouldn't have lost to the Colts. That was a game in the bag, Eberflus.
Mm-hmm.
And then you turn around a game against the Commanders, which, here's the thing. We were 50-50. I believe every pundit, every fan out here that's following the Bears was 50-50 on that Commanders game. We understood it was a tough team. They were on the road. Hey, if they took the loss, we were okay with it. But when you've got the win right there, wow.
Yeah. And this will be another tiebreaker game. The Cardinals, they played the Lions already, and it was another tough loss, because losing to the Houston Texans like we did, that is another tiebreaker to the Packers. Again, these are all must-wins, no matter what the week is. With this division the way that it is, every single game is a must-win, because, again, you have the Packers and Lions playing each other. That's going to be so important for the division, for those 2 teams, and for the Bears and Vikings as well. So huge games coming up this week, all across the board, all across the division.
Yes, it's going to be a fun-filled-packed Sunday. I'm definitely going to be watching and sweeting my popcorn. This is The Truth About Chicago Sports on WRMN, 1410 AM in Elgin, Illinois. We're in Studio 14, breaking down Bears. And when we get back from break, we'll be talking Bears and Cardinals, with lots more on here. The Truth About Chicago Sports, WRMN.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410. Elgin time, 11 o'clock.
If you can't decide on dinner, have everything. Golden Corral at 154 South Gary Avenue in Bloomingdale has an endless buffet with over 150 items to choose from. There's an unmatched variety of food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, prepared fresh throughout the day. If you're craving something specific, call or check out their menu. Golden Corral rotates the buffet often. Golden Corral in Bloomingdale. They're the only one for everyone. Visit goldencorral.com.
Searching for a financial partner that truly has your best interest at heart? Join KCT Credit Union, where they're more than just a bank. They're a not-for-profit financial cooperative. KCT members are owners, meaning profits go back to you in the form of lower loan rates, higher savings rates, and fewer fees. Experience personalized service that puts you first. Become a part of KCT, where your financial well-being is their top priority. Visit kctcu.org. Each account insured up to $250,000 by member's choice. This institution is not federally insured.
Welcome back to the show. This is The Truth About Chicago Sports with Marcus Mack. I'm joined in studio by Nick No Gimmick Johnston, and we got Blake Cowell on the call-in line. We've got a guest joining us right now, guys. Let's go ahead and talk to Fred Colantonio. Fred, welcome to the show.
Fred left.
Fred left. Oh, we lost Fred. Fred.
If you're listening, Fred, go ahead and call back. We got you. You were locked in, but you're ready to roll, but just weren't just yet. That's okay.
He said trying to dial. He said he's having some issues.
There he is again.
Okay, we got Fred now.
Should be on the go. How we doing, Fred?
Fred, you're on.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Marcus, how we doing?
Hey, how's it going, brother? What's going on?
Well, thought that'd be a good 7-game World Series, but it turned out that the Dodgers came back and hunt the Yankees with 5 runs, and then the Dodgers went on to win the World Series. So I would keep my fingers crossed for another game or two in New York and come back in Los Angeles and take care of the Yankees. But otherwise, that was it. Keeping my fingers crossed now for the Bears coming up that they win a game. That was a heartbreaker last week with the last 15 seconds.
Heartbreaker, Fred. How do you see this week going? We're going to be taking on the Cardinals. I believe it's a 3:00 game. We're on the road. Is this a must-win, Fred?
Yeah, it's a must-win. Yeah, it's a must-win. Yeah, to stay in contention, and we just got to do it. And plus, it'll be a warmer climate compared to Soldiers Field. It's going to be cold, but it'll be warmer out there in Arizona, and it'll be a little more, won't be that much tense at all. How about you? What do you guys think?
You know what? That's an interesting point right there, Fred. And I didn't even think about that, because you go back a couple of weeks when Caleb was at home, and remember he was spraying the water bottle to see where the wind was going, and he was saying, "Man, it's a little windy out here. It might affect the passing game." And that was a little thing that kind of went over a lot of people's heads. That's a great point to bring up, that they're going to be out there in the desert, dry heat, good weather. I think Caleb's going to be spinning that pill, definitely.
And honestly, the Bears get a pretty good showing whenever they're out in Arizona. So I think the fans will show up and show out. Like I said this on the last show and on the rise. If it's not Florida, that's the destination for some Chicagoans. It's definitely Arizona is the secondary for the retirement route. So I think it'll be a nice little show for the fans there.
Yeah, yes, indeed. I'm definitely looking forward to the Bears fans showing up and showing out. I know I've got a couple of good peeps that from my other line of work, the airlines, and they've transferred out there in Arizona, and they're still diehard Bear fans. So I know they'll be cheering. Some will be attending. So yeah, it won't be a complete road game like it was when they were in a very hostile environment in Washington, but I also don't see the Cardinals giving the Bears anything. If we look at this team, they're 4-4. The Cardinals are legit, Fred, right?
Yeah. And like you said, it's going to be a good game. There won't be that much wind. Like right now, it's really windy here in Chicago, and the temperature is maybe in about 50 degrees. It's supposed to go up to about 60, but it's going to be one thing after another coming up tomorrow. And then, like you said, you're going to have some of the airline people out there. Others are on vacation, visit friends and relatives. They're going to go participate in the game, too. They want to see the Bears win. it might be their first time out there and watch the Bears play Arizona. So we'll see what happens. But I think they're doing good, much better than last year, 100% compared to last year.
And the Bears right now, currently, I think, is it +2 they've got the Bears right now?
Yes.
And the rankings, which is probably even going to change a little bit more game time depending on if Montez plays or not. So keep an eye on that, everyone out there on the line, on the money line. If you see that change drastically, that means that they've got some information that Sweat's not going to be playing, because I think the +2 is based off of right now currently knowing that Brisker and Gordon are not going to play.
Yeah.
But from the other side of the football, here's the interesting part. That offensive line is decimated right now. That has to be a concern for the Chicago Bears, no matter what's going on with weather out there in Arizona, right?
Yeah. You got to have a good offense line. If you're not, then you're going to run into problems, and Williams is going to get hurt, and you don't want that to happen to him like everybody else. He's a damn good quarterback for his first year, and he's doing a good job as far as I'm concerned, compared to the last 2 or 3 quarterbacks the Bears have had.
Yeah.
So he's doing a good job.
No, he actually really is. I've been looking at the stats, and thank you once again for joining us, Fred. We got Fred Colantonio, who joined us here on The Truth About Chicago Sports. Thank you very much, buddy. You want to tell anybody where they can find you when you're not here on the show?
Yeah, you can check me up on the Chicago Sports Journal, CHISportsjournal.com, and you can check the paper out there. We got a couple of the other guys there. We're hoping that Terry from the Windy City Thunderbolts shows up. We did a feature story on him, and we got one coming up in Lansing coming up for the spring edition. But in the fall edition, next fall edition, it's going to be Marcus. So hopefully we can get something going with.
I'm looking forward to that.
General manager of WMRN. I sent him an email, so hopefully I can get a return email or a phone call back from him.
Definitely.
But yeah. This will be my 15th year coming up this spring with the Chicago Sports Journal. And we got 70 stops. We got all the way up to Naperville. We got all the way up to Elgin right now.
And that's where I'm at.
That's where we
Yes, indeed. So thank you once again, Fred. We appreciate you, brother. Look forward to you joining us next week.
All right, you take it easy.
I'm sorry. No, we're good. We're good to go. Brother Blake, what's happening, my friend?
Hey.
So we said that we had that nice breakdown with Fred Colantonio. I really liked the weather aspect that he kind of threw out there. That was very interesting. Like I said, I really kind of that kind of went over my head until I went back to that game at home when it was winning. It's like, you know what, that is going to be interesting to have a warmer weather. But here's my issue still, and I throw this to you, Blake. Will this offensive line be enough against this Arizona Cardinals for Caleb to be able to operate?
It's going to be a little shaky. We've seen what happens when Caleb Williams gets pressured. I mean, really with any quarterback in the NFL, when they get pressured, their process has to be faster. They have to be looking at their reads. And like we said with rookie quarterbacks, when we see those progressions, they're able to look at multiple reads. And right now, Braxton Jones is out. That means Larry Borum's going to get kicked out to that left tackle. We think he's questionable.
He is questionable as well.
He is.
I have the list in front of me right now. So right now, Amagaji out, left tackle. Brisker out, concussion. Braxton Jones also out with his knee. Questionable right now is Ryan Bates, Larry Borum, Kyler Gordon, Tevin Jenkins, and Montez Sweat. So yeah, the offensive line's just completely depleted.
And what's left off of it? What's the status with Bill Murray? Didn't he get hurt too?
He did.
So
the game, but yeah,
that's 4 offensive linemen banged up. That's man. So it sucks because this literally came right on the heels of after we got our bye week, and then you get 4 key offensive linemen getting banged up, and it looks like Nate Davis is gonna have to play. That's an issue because at this point, if Nate Davis is playing, his motivation is only out of being selfish. Because when you're benched, right, you don't care anymore. You're just waiting for the offseason leave. You've been benched, and you were a starter in the NFL. So we have to ask ourselves. What can we actually get out of this team when it comes to being able to pass block and run block when you've been decimated so much. And let's be honest, Larry Borum, he was, he wasn't the most solid guy when he was healthy 100%. Now we're talking about a guy that maybe 80%. We're putting him out there on Caleb's blind side. I don't think that's really good.
Yeah, it's not a spot you want to be in, that's for sure. And we've talked about it in the past. It's the next man up. It's the next man up. And when you get your number called, they have to be ready. And I right now, my confidence in Shane Waldron and Matt Eberflus, for that matter, having those next guys ready. This team starts slow every time they take the field. So now I'm supposed to believe in week 9 that they're just going to come out and be ready to play. It's a concern for me, and it should be a concern for most Bears fans. And if this offense can't get it rolling from the jump, I mean, they're going to have to play from behind again. They're going to have to scratch and claw. And this Bears team, I mean, can they do it? Yes, but they're at their best when they don't have to do that, and they can let the defense sit back on their heels. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, the comment you made is right. Starting off slow has been the name of the game for the Bears because I think, they have every single game they start out from behind the scoring. They've allowed their opponent to score first every single time this season so far. So it's tough being behind, even being behind 3 points to start the game. It's tough. You want to be as even as possible. You want to score first, but that just hasn't been the game plan for the Bears so far. So get going hot. And again, it shows to me that Caleb's still his most calm, the most professional that he looks is when they're in this two-minute drill, when they're in the fast offensive
hurry up
momentum for the Bears. So maybe just get that going right out the gate. Again, it might be the game plan considering you really have no offensive line to begin with. Now they're all hurt, so now that's completely out of the equation.
So we got to keep it simple.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to keep it simple.
So keep it going, keep it fast. I'm not, again, I do the fantasy section over on the Rise. I'm not opposed to starting DeAndre Swift because he's probably been behind worse offensive lines before.
And they're going to need production from him.
Yeah.
They're going to need production.
He's going to play. He's going to be getting going. So that would be nice there. But again, you want to see DJ Moore get more acclimated. Hopefully he's good to go there for sure. And then get Cole Kmet for sure going, for sure, without a doubt.
We got a caller here on the call-in line. Let's go ahead and take our caller. Caller, welcome to the show. This is The Truth About Chicago Sports. Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, thank you. It is the truth, and this is Fred Huebner's last caller, Cleveland Dennis calling.
Hey, Cleveland, what's going on, brother? It's always good to hear from you.
Yeah, I made the comment when you're talking about baseball to just subsign Soto and, bring the right field, because isn't Soto a lefty? He's a lefty hitter, right? Bring the right field in. They could use the extra money to pay him, and the Cubs will move on up and hopefully make it to the playoffs. But I'm calling about football right now because that's the subject. I've been saying this for a while. I don't have any faith in the coach of the Bears.
Yep.
It's just not there because what happened, we watched that game the other day. They came from behind, and we all know what they should have did, but in 20 seconds, it vanished right before our very eyes. And that impacted me even here a week later to say I have no faith in the coach. That's all I got, guys.
All right, thank you once again. That's Cleveland Dennis joining us on the call-in line. Longtime listener, big-time fan of the show and of the station. We always appreciate your thoughts and comments. And he's correct. It has caused a big vacuum now in this town of everybody saying, I don't trust this coach anymore. And even the players, like you mentioned earlier, Nick, we saw a Kmet question. We saw DJ Moore openly question. Kevin Byard came out right after the game and even admitted that he basically questioned his call when they got the 16 yards before setting up the Hail Mary. And so once you start to see these things, here's one thing I'm going to tell you right now. And I've been watching the Bears for a long time, and I know when a coach has got someone, when he does it. And the reason why I always had I started getting a lot of faith in Lovey was you saw that the team galvanized around him, regardless of what's happening. The team galvanized around him. You never saw the team come out and say, oh, this guy, or question his call, or he didn't know what he was doing, or so all you heard was, we love playing for him. That was always the resounding response to the locker room. See, the thing about it, my brothers, The locker room is fragile. They try to make it sound like it's this tight-knit, but the locker room is as fragile as a sorority and college row, okay? It is very fragile. It does not take much for them to start to clash. The egos are big. They want to win. That would be the word
for sure. Yeah, egos.
They want to win.
The
egos can clash. They want to win. And when you feel like someone has put you in a position to lose rather than win, yeah, there's issues.
And you want to say, like, oh, winning heals all, but then you look at, like, oh, the Eagles, who still have somewhat of a toxic toxic locker room, and they've been over 500 since, I feel like, since color TV came out at this point. So, honestly, it's tough right there when you have a leader at the head coaching position right there that you question, and it comes back to now, that when Mercedes Lewis was talking like, we need to be coached up a little bit more.
We need to coach harder.
That was a couple weeks ago now, and it still feels like that still holds something there for sure. So
think about when that statement came. It came after the loss to the Colts.
Yeah.
He said and now you see weeks later, they lose against a tough opponent on the road, and once again you hear statements of, we need to be coached harder. Second time now that this has come out during the season where the players are feeling like they're not being held more accountable. We briefly talked about the Tyreek Stevenson situation, and if anybody missed it, basically the last play of the game, Tyreek, he said he was cheering with the crowd. It looked more like he was taunting the Washington crowd. And then when the ball is snapped, he's still taunting. The players are running down the field. When he finally turns around and recognizes what's going on, he comes in late into the play only to tip the ball up rather than knocking it down, which results in the Washington receiver catching it behind all Bears defenders. It's been a lot of talk. Should he be benched? Should there have been, to me, it's just discipline. Yeah. When you've got a coach that's on you, when you got a Mike Tomlin type, you don't do that. Because you know right away, if Mike saw that, even if you had won that game, if Mike had seen that on film, you doing that, you already knew where your place was going to be. And see, the fact that he felt comfortable enough to be doing something like that in that situation, that goes to me, that is uncoaching. That's undisciplined. That means he had no worry of his coach looking back on that tape, seeing him hyping up or whatever he's doing on this last play or taunting, whatever he was doing. There's inexcusable when you know the eye in the sky is always on you. And he felt no remorse, no pressure, no like, oh, man, my coach might really come down on me if I'm doing something like this. That signals right there everything we need to know. Discipline, coaching. So this is a big get-back game for Eberflus just as much as the team, honestly, right, Blake?
Yeah, I mean, how will they respond? How will they bounce back from it? They showed after they lost to the Colts, they bounced back and won 3 straight. So can some good come out of this? I mean, I hope so. But you mentioned it too, Tyreek Stevenson. You could tell the entire game, Terry McLaurin and some of the other commanders were in his head. I mean, he got a 15-yard penalty earlier in the game.
Yeah, the hands to the face thing, right?
Else's face mask. Yeah, and that's undisciplined. There's no accountability because when he goes to the sideline after that, I mean, is Eberflus talking to him? Is the D coordinator talking to him? Or team leaders talking to him? Like, hey, man, you just cost us 15 yards. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, obviously in the NFL, every yard matters, every play matters. And, I mean, to this team, does it matter? I don't know, and I'm not going to say that they don't keep him accountable because I'm not in the locker room, obviously. But how are they going to bounce back from this? How will they respond? I don't know. It's a huge question mark, and that's why I'm reluctant to pick the Bears to win tomorrow because I just don't know.
Nick, Shane Waldron. Tell me. Tell me.
Well, really quick.
Tell me. Yeah, should I have any faith in this dude after that Doug Kramer call?
Yeah, really quick. I was just going to get, personally, I'm okay not like publicly going out there and like hanging out, like leaving Stevenson hanging out there to dry. I think that would be almost an in-house thing. Yeah. When you go to school, if you get like an in-school suspension, that hopefully it's almost like that sort of deal. You learn your lesson, get right, never happen again. Not even just this season, just never happen again in your career. That's gonna be the goal. Shane Waldron. On the other hand, again, it's the coaching decisions on both ends of it has been questionable for sure. That's being polite with it, without a doubt. The Doug Kramer decision at the goal line. I would think
inexcusable.
Yes, without a doubt. You give that ball to Roschon 110% of the time. Again, it was just all these factors of, again, like, we've practiced this, we really did this, but then again, the reaction from the players were all across the board. We're like, okay, this is in our back pocket. We're really going to use it today? We're really going to right now in this crucial of a play? So again, head scratching is, again, that would be the being polite with it. He's had some issues beforehand with this. It was a question mark to begin with, and now we're kind of seeing a couple answers, I think.
Well, we know his scheme, right? He's not dedicated to the run. He likes to pass. He wants to be fancy down the field. But the thing that I look at is that you have to look at your personnel. And right now, the Bears personnel is built to be a running power football team. Yeah, you've got some shiny weapons on the outside, and that's awesome. I'm glad we've got Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. That's great. That's great. Roma Doomsday. But establish that run. If you establish that run, I think if they commit to that, I think if they really say, hey, we're going to be a running team, you will see better results. We've seen the results come with wins when Swift is out there being effective in the running game. And so as I sit and I look at this team and we see the decimation in the offensive line, we know that Waldron's play caller can sometimes be a little head scratching. Maybe we do need to just get to the basics of just like what we should have did on that play. Hand the ball to Roschon, hand the ball to Swift.
If I'm looking at this, like I said, as in any sort of gambling way, I might even just be hands off on this game entirely, because the Cardinals are getting the favorite by 2 points, yes. And you can say, oh, maybe because the Bears aren't just underperforming. But if you look at the Cardinals' wins, besides their one blowout victory against the Rams, they've only had 3 other wins, all by 1 point or 2. So very small, and then the last one just coming off of a game-winning field goal. So while the Cardinals are nothing to sneeze at, or they're not going to be Super Bowl contenders, but they can get in there and ruin your season.
And let's be honest, right now in their division, I think they're the top team.
I think so. They have a win over the 49ers, so that NFC West is kind of just stacked up right now, all kind of eating each other apart.
Yeah, so no, this is going to be a street fight. I definitely wholeheartedly believe the Bears are going to have to bring it, and there are concerns. And when we look at the injuries on both sides of the football, yes, this is not a give me game. And could we be talking next week about a 4-4 team? And guess what? If that happens, oh man, because you look at the rest of the teams, they're pulling away already. After this Packers Lions game, one team's going to have 2, one team's going to have 3 losses. Bottom line, right? So we already know that if the Bears didn't lose, now you're 2 games behind before you've even played a division opponent. That's bad, because we know they're not going to run the table with these division opponents. It's going to be impossible for them to run that table and come out of that 6-0. They'll be lucky to be 3-3 or 2-4.
Yeah, can't just be handing these games away. Like I said, with the Packers and the Lions playing each other, so important with that matchup in the division. And then the Vikings get, I wouldn't say a give me either, but it's just a lighter opponent in the Colts on Sunday night. So again, must win. You got to get this one done, especially like I said with Kyler Murray. They're good, not great. You got to get this win. The Bears are the better team.
Yes. Make no mistake about it. We're worried in our concerns, right? Because of what we've seen, because of coaching, because of injuries. But when you still look at how this team stacks up, the Bears still have the better starters. The Bears still have the better quarterback. The Bears still have the better weapons overall on offense. So I feel like the Bears definitely can come out on top, but when we get back from break, we'll break down the keys that it's going to take for that to happen here on WRMN 1410, a.m. We're Studio 14, Elgin, Illinois. This is The Truth About Chicago Sports with your host, Marcus Mack. I'm joined by Nick No Gimmick Johnston, and we've also got Blake Howell on the call-in line. Please feel free to call in and talk with us, 847-931-1410, here on The Truth About Chicago Sports.
For local information and fun times in the mornings, listen to Marky B and Larry Jones on The First Shift.
And when like Christmas time and Thanksgiving time, Brian has these little competitions. People ring up and they gobble like a turkey, and whoever gets the most votes for the best gobble off, they win a turkey for Thanksgiving.
Really? That's a great idea. That's a great radio contest. Derek has given us some great ideas here.
That's
Larry.
right. Yeah.
It's The First Shift, weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. right here on WRMN.
As the Elgin Police Department continues to participate in the distracted driving campaign, they wanted to share some tips from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration website regarding safe driving. If you are expecting a text or need to send one, pull over and park your car in a safe location. Once you are safely off the road and parked, it's safe to text. Designate your passenger as your designated texter. Allow them to access your phone to respond to calls or messages. Do not engage in social media scrolling or messaging while driving. Are you struggling not to text and drive? Activate your phone's Do Not Disturb feature or put your cell phone in the trunk, the glove box, or the back seat of your vehicle until you arrive at your destination. Remember, the Elgin Police are conducting directed patrols to enforce distracted driving violations. Just drive and stay safe. A message from our friends at the Elgin Police Department and your friends here at WRMN AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I lack a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Wake up, Fox River Valley. WRMN AM 1410 is shaking things up with a brand new weekday lineup that'll keep you informed, entertained, and engaged. I'm Marky B, WRMN Program Director and host of The First Shift, inviting you to start your day with The First Shift from 6 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. Larry Jones, Jakes, myself, and the entire First Shift team bring you the latest local news, entertainment, and, my favorite, more to kick off your morning. Then it's out to lunch with Matt McNeil from 10 until 1 p.m. Tune in for your midday fix of news, interviews, community happenings, and of course, the legendary WRMN Tradio Show. In the afternoon, join us for Fox Valley Afternoons from 2 until 6 p.m. Tammy and friends will chat lifestyle from 2 to 4, while Sonar and his crew dive into politics and news from 4 until 6. Plus, get to know the movers and shakers of the Fox River Valley with exclusive interviews, too. Don't miss out on our new local lineup that's tailor-made for you. WRMN AM 1410, the talk of the town. Tune in and turn it up.
Anderson Japanese Gardens, ranked the highest quality Japanese garden in North America and located right in the heart of Rockford. Their mission is to open minds to a different culture while offering a place of peace and tranquility where one can find healing, renewal, inspiration, and a re-energized soul. A premier destination for corporate functions, special events, weddings, and receptions. For directions, hours, and fees, visit andersongarden.org today. Looking for a place to try for breakfast or lunch? You'll find a gem of a restaurant with amazing food and great prices at the Tripleberry Cafe, 435 Angela Lane in Crystal Lake. For breakfast, try Tripleberry's strawberry cheesecake French toast, ribeye steak and eggs, or carnitas skillets. At lunch, there's the AM burger or Chipotle chicken BLT. There's delicious homemade cream of mushroom soup. For tasty home cooking, Tripleberry Cafe is the place to be. Visit tripleberrycafe.com.
And welcome back to the show. This is the truth about Chicago sports on WRMN 1410 AM, Elgin, Illinois, Studio 14. Feel free to call us on the call-in line 847-931-1410 as we're breaking down Bears versus Cardinals. Blake, I start with you. Give me keys for the Bears to get the victory out there in the desert.
Keys for the Bears in the desert are kind of the keys what it's been all season. You got to establish the run. DeAndre Swift now 4 games in a row over 110 all-purpose yards. And what got the Bears offense rolling last week when it seemed like it was all but over? DeAndre Swift breaks off a 56-yard run. It's going to be tough with the O-line being out, but I still have faith that he can mix it up in the pass game and the run game. That's the first key. Second key, same key as every week. Hold the team to under 20 points. Matt Eberflus's defense is fully capable of it. And as long as they can do that, they have a good shot to win it. Similar to last week, obviously, we've already talked about that. They still have a good offense to under 20 points. Keeping Kyler Murray in the pocket, we don't want to see him move the sticks on a third down using his legs. I think that's a big key on the defensive side of the ball this week is keep him in the pocket. Don't let him use his legs. I think if those two things happen, the Bears are going to have a very, very good chance to sneak out with another win.
Yeah. My key is what you guys already said earlier. Can we please score first?
Yes.
Can we please score first? 6 games, and we haven't scored first yet. Can we please find a way not to get pre-snap penalties or some weird sack that takes us out of scoring? Can we, I don't care if it's 2, 3, or 6, get a score on the board before the other team, please.
Yes. Another huge thing for the Bears in this case, outside factors. Black Ops 6 came out.
Yes,
and if we all know,
Kyler's a big fan.
Kyler Murray is the man, so much so that he actually got a sponsorship with Call of Duty. So he said, shout out to all the trolls. But that's exactly that. All things aside, all joking aside, you were exactly right there, Blake. You got to make sure he doesn't scramble. You've seen he can absolutely just kill you with his legs. And he isn't turning the ball over either. Mm-hmm. Hasn't really been fumbling a ton or really anything at all. He only has 3 interceptions on the day. So if you keep him in the pocket, and it's gonna be tough, but you have to keep him in there, keep him contained, and then hold down either. Are you keying in on Marvin Harrison Jr. or are we really trying to take away Trey McBride? I would probably lean towards the Harrison side.
Yeah, Harrison. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Harrison,
because Trey McBride yet to catch a touchdown just yet, and as I say that, he's probably going to get one. But it's just that would probably be the way to go. You gotta look at the more talented guy. I would say Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably the more talented guy in this aspect, but a couple other names for sure. We also got to watch for James Conner without a doubt, because that Bears rush defense has not been the best, and he can still get it going.
And guys, as we sit here and we break down Bears, I would be out of place if I did not speak on the man who had 25 years since he's left us, Walter Sweetness Payton, one of the greatest Chicago Bears of all time. I tell people all the time that if Sweetness doesn't play for the Bears, I don't know if I love the Bears the way that I love the Bears. When I started watching Chicago, it was 84, 85. I'm a young pup. I was, 5 years old. So even though I was very young when it happened, yes, I do remember the Bears winning the Super Bowl. And even at that time, even though it was towards the latter of his career, you saw how revered he was. You saw he was the man in Chicago. Before Mike, it was Walter. And even when Mike was here, Walter was still the man. If Michael Jordan and Walter Payton walked in a room together, people were excited to see Mike because, it's Mike, but make no mistake about it, they wanted to
Mr. Jordan, can you take a picture of me and Walter?
Yes, because Walter was Chicago. He exemplified it. And so I still can't believe it's been 25 years since we lost Sweetness. Shout out to the Payton family, who's still very active right here in the community. Jared, you can see this, his son on WGN speaking and talking on the Bears. And it's just, just to reflect and a little bit on him. I know that you two are the youngins and you never got a chance to see him play, but I know you've seen the highlights. And I'll tell you something, man. He was different. He was special. And if you want to ever pick a player, there's 2 players in the Chicago Bears franchise history that I will always feel will revere, represent the Bears and are synonymous whenever you see their names, and that's Walter Payton and Dick Buckus. They are forever cemented in Bear lore. And so, yeah, I just had to go give that quick shout out to Sweetness in 25 years.
Oh yeah, very much worth it. Obviously, yeah. There's not really much else you could say about Walter Payton. Just one of the nicest guys. A couple years ago, what they found one of his ring, his Super Bowl ring. Is that not mistaken? Yeah. So it's just interesting things like that. Just you're popping all over the place. And yeah, I think you're right. Obviously, one of the most prolific Bears in history. I would say you think all the running backs in Bears history. You think him, Gale Sayers. I guess more recently, like maybe Matt Forte to some degree, but never really had the impact. Without a doubt, it was Walter Payton from top to bottom. And I mean, you got him. You got kids my age at that time, probably rocking the headband and everything like that. So he was a very much a trailblazer in all sorts of ways. So it's a shame. It's a shame.
And here's the crazy part about it, guys. When he retired, he never left the organization. He was always around. You always saw him. He was always involved. That's what hurt Chicago more than anything because a lot of athletes, including Mike, once their time is done, they're done, and never to be heard from again. He ingratiated himself in this community to the point where what do you mean Walter's not around? The Bears are here. That's the way it was. And so, like I said, after just to give a shout out to the family and give a shout out to the greatness and the legacy of Walter, we will always remember what you brought to this city. So now, moving on past that, we're going to make a transition and continue on with the Bears and Cardinals. Who scares you the most outside of Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. on this team? Who scares you the most, Blake, to maybe cause the Bears some issues?
Yeah, Nick touched on a little earlier. Trey McBride having a very good season. I believe he's one of the top tight ends when it comes to just getting targets and yards. Nick, you were talking about fantasy value. He's a staple on my fantasy team, so if I have to root for anyone to have success on the Cardinals this weekend, it's going to be Trey McBride, just a sprinkle. But we're going to have to see, again, how these linebackers match up well with Trey McBride over the middle and their coverages. Kyler Gordon, is he going to play? He's listed as questionable. I was reading a report actually on break that he is kind of ramping up his recovery process to try and play tomorrow. But it's a hamstring injury. You don't want to re-injure it. So if he's in the game, that's a fun matchup to look for. Will he be playing him in the nickel position? But I would say Trey McBride off the jump. He's a good pass catcher. He's a good yak guy. So we'll see.
I'd say James Conner. I think you got to stuff him right away. I think that is the Bears' only real chink in their armor is they can be susceptible to being gashed in that run game. We've talked about that many times. And James Conner's having a really good season. His numbers stack up quite similarly to DeAndre Swift. He's doing, he's got 4 touchdowns that he's already ran in as well, so we know he can find pay dirt. He's got 557 yards on 129 carries, so he is playing that workhorse role, and he's healthy. I think that right there is why Kyler Murray's only had 3 interceptions. I think he's been able to lean on Conner a lot throughout these 8 games that they've played. So I think if he really can go ahead and get him shut in the mouth, shut that down, even though he does have the weapons in McBride and Harrison, yes, make him one-dimensional. Even though we've got the injuries, our secondary is still our strength. And, it is a shame that in a situation now where Tyreek Stevenson probably should have been benched because of his antics and actions during last game, he's going to have to play. Even if they don't start him, you're going to have to play him because you got too many injuries in the secondary. And he's going to have to come in, and not only is they're going to have to play, he's going to have to come in and play well. Because let's be honest, they're not going to put Harrison Jr. on Jalen Johnson all the time. They're going to try to put him on, the lesser corners out there. And that's what's going to fall on Terrell Smith. That's what's going to fall on Tyreek Stevenson to go ahead and step up and be playmakers.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at some stats while we were mentioning. Trey McBride, 42 receptions on the year so far. He is the 11th highest in receptions for the year. He's just behind Brock Bowers for the tight end position. Brock Bowers is 52, and you've seen that he's been the go-to. He's been the number one on the Raiders side of things, without a doubt, especially without Devontae Adams there. So, yeah, Trey McBride, no touchdowns this year, but 42 receptions on 446 yards receiving. And also want to bring up, like I mentioned, James Conner, who is currently 9th in rushing with 557 yards.
Yeah, look at that. He's in the top 10.
Yep, just ahead of DeAndre Swift by about 100 yards or so. So definitely got to consider that there. He's got a couple scores on the ground as well. So a little bit older for sure, James Conner is, but never you gotta make sure you gotta acknowledge him there for sure.
Yeah, you gotta acknowledge him, and like you guys said earlier, let's keep Kyler in the pocket. Let's not let him kill us with his legs, because that's where he can be really dangerous. This is a game, too, that I am concerned, because like you said, with the linebackers being out there, Kyler Gordon that's what makes him so special, because he can guard tight ends. Because he's physical enough to play with a bigger size tight end, but obviously he's quick and shifty and he can stick with the wide receivers. The Bears are at a disadvantage if they have to play a lot of Jack Sanborn, and that might sound crazy because Jack Sanborn is a really good player and he makes a lot of good plays for the Bears. But if you're putting McBride on Jack Sanborn a lot, that's where it becomes an issue, and the Bears are a liability. And when you look at the other guys that come in and play that slot position, I think it's Josh Blackwell is the guy that comes in and fills in. He's smaller. He's more susceptible. So yeah, you could see a situation where if Kyler Gordon doesn't go, we definitely do need to be worried about Trey McBride really maybe having a coming out party.
Yeah, he gets a ton of looks. He gets a ton of targets. 56 targets on the year so far. He's gotten a lot of looks. Just behind again Brock Bowers for most targets at the tight end position.
Blake, how many touchdowns can Caleb throw in this game?
How many? Well, it's a good question. The Arizona passing defense is 26th in the NFL. They're giving up 235 passing yards a game. And their defense overall, they're giving up 376 yards a game. That's 27th in the National Football League. We need a good balanced offense. Can Caleb go out there and throw for 4 touchdowns like he did against the Jaguars? Yep. But can DeAndre Swift go out there and run for 4 touchdowns himself? Yep, absolutely. This defense is not that good on Arizona. They have holes in it themselves. Give me Caleb to score 2 touchdowns. Give me 2 rushing touchdowns. I'll give you a good balance there.
I like that. And once again, this is WRMN 1410 AM, Studio 14. This is the truth about Chicago sports. As we're sitting here breaking down Bears and Cardinals, feel free to hit us on the call-in line, 847-931-1410. You know the thing I love about Caleb more than anything is the guy does not get down. What that means, when Mitch Trubisky struggled, they said they had to turn the TVs off in the building. He couldn't hear no criticism. Justin Fields struggled. Yeah, he wanted to try to do something about it, but still couldn't. But when Caleb struggles, you notice he bounces back that next game like an assassin. He's so laser focused, and that's right away when I saw how he responded after that Colts game where he threw two egregious interceptions, had a strip sack fumble. You saw him come back that next week. Okay, I'm not going to turn the ball over. I'm going to play the game the way it's supposed to be played, and the Bears got the win. Then the following week, he opens it up. All right, I'm going to air it out a little bit because I got some confidence. And then that led over to the Jacksonville Jaguar for a touchdown game. I do think that the bye did take some steam out of him. He was hot. He was feeling himself. I think the bye week did probably take a little steam out of the sail because he is a rookie. But the one thing that I've noticed with Caleb, not only the confidence that he has, which is very key to be a top-level quarterback, but it's that mindset of, okay, you know what? I got something for you next week.
Yeah.
And I like that.
He continues to be answering things confidently and just looking forward as the right way, for sure. Yeah, it's just a constant, just a professional. He knows how to talk and be a professional already. We were mentioning the Cardinals defense. I'm looking at these guys. Other than Budda Baker, there's no real standout on the Cardinals defense. And even he's not having the craziest of years. He's only playing free safety. He's only got 2 pass deflections on the year. But again, it's no one on here is like, okay, got a game plan, got a scheme, got to make sure we just completely avoid this side of the field because he's
changed the game. Yeah.
No, there's no game changers. There's no game plan wreckers on the Cardinals defense. So exactly that. Get in, get right, get in your game plan. Get the ball moving. Hopefully on the ground. That would be the go-to first off. But if you can't, I mean, like we've already mentioned, DJ Moore, get him going. All these pass catchers can get open without a doubt against this lax Cardinals defense.
Yeah, I want to see some Cole Kmet. One target last week, and that's
on tight ends day
of all days, right? And here's the thing that at least comes in my obvious view: when Cole has a good game, the Bears win. I haven't seen it go any way yet where Cole has put up monster games and the Bears lose. And how can you? And so when I asked that question earlier about Shane Waldron, these are the things. These are why how can you miss that when you've got a weapon like that? So I want to definitely see more of that. I want to see Cole involved, middle of the field. Let's go ahead and start making this team have to start allocating some of their focus to other areas, and then that'll open up Rome. That'll open up DJ. That'll open up Swift underneath. I think that is the biggest X factor weapon for the Bears going forward throughout this whole season. Cole Kmet, no, he's not Kittle. No, he's not Kelsey, but guess what? He is effective. And, man, he can make plays.
Yeah, so you don't need to be your own sometimes. You just be your own Cole Kmet sometimes. So that's good enough. That's good enough for the Bears.
It's good enough. That's good enough. Blake, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I was going to say I agree, and we've talked about it before. He's a big body. He's a good pass catcher, and when he's getting open in the middle of the field, it opens up the sidelines. And when it's opening up the sidelines, we have good enough playmakers to make the plays out there. And, if Cole Kmet can get it going over the middle of the field and kind of dominate that area, it just opens up everything on offense. And that's just something, like you said, we didn't have last week. And when you're playing from behind in a game, well, then you can't go back to your scheme and try and you can't force the game then to come to you. You got to go attack the game. And that's what they didn't do last week. And kind of like we were talking about before, slow starts for the Bears. Got to get to a fast start. Got to get the run game going. Get Kmet going. Get Odunze going because he's another guy. He's getting open on a lot of plays, and he's not getting
a lot of plays. Rome is. People were questioning. It was comments earlier like, did the Bears make the right pick? And then people went back and watched the All-22. They went back and watched the film. The ball's going to other players that are making plays, but there's a bunch of times Rome has beat his guy. There's a bunch of times Rome has won that one-on-one matchup on the outside. And right now it's a lot of mouths to be fed. But we do got to realize, hey, if he's winning these matchups, let's start scheming that ball towards him. Let's start finding a way to get that ball in his hands because he wasn't just some sexy pick. That's the thing. Like, Rome one day will be the Bears' number one wide receiver. Make no mistake about that. He will. The potential is there. You see the size, the body, the hands, everything, the confidence. He is going to be their number one receiver one day. I understand the vets, come higher in the pecking order, but if the kid's getting open, got to feed him the rock.
Yeah.
Got to feed him the rock.
You see a lot of instances now. It's not just just these past couple wide receiver draft classes for sure, but even a guy like Ladd McConkey seems like he's coming into his own without a doubt over on the Chargers side of things. And then Brian Thomas Jr. It looks like those guys are just like, okay,
Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, they're just going to be problems for the next 10, 15 years, or at least like 10 years down the line for defenses to worry about. And while it hasn't been just right now, right in front of our face, Rome still has that potential to just get in there. There's so many other mouths to feed right now.
Yeah, it just is. It's just so many mouths to feed. But could this be the game where Rome does? Hey, you know what? Hey, I'm going against Mike. I'm going another guy that was from this class. Yeah. The first wide receiver pick, Marvin Harrison, who's probably going to be a real problem for the NFL for the next 10 years. So could this be a breakout game for him? I'll tell you what, I would like to see that. I wouldn't mind having a big game from the Rook just for confidence. Just, hey, it's his time. He's been out there. He's been working hard. Let's give him the ball. Let's make some things happen. We'll see. Because remember, it still goes back to this one thing. This is still Caleb's first season. He's only played 7 games. The kid's still got single-digit starts. But we get so hyped because we know it's different. When you've gone through the Jay Cutler era, or you've gone through the Mitch Trubisky era, when you went through the Justin Hope Fields era, it's now where you see, okay, we got somebody. But we still have to understand that it's still a learning process for him out there. There's going to be games like the Washington game where it's just not really happening, but all of a sudden he can find his way towards the end. And so, yeah, I definitely want to see big fireworks from this game. I would love to see them jump right out right away, but I do know that in the NFL, it's hard to win on the road. And I've been screaming that. I screamed that, but going back before the season started, I said that the Bears, realistically, they needed to win majority of their games at home. Maybe lose the most 2 games at home, and then they would have to try to find a way to go 500 on the road, or at least 1 game under 500 on the road. So far, Eberflus on the road, 0-3, right? Is it 0-3?
0-3 on the season. I don't even know if he's got a road win in his entire Bears career.
3. He's only got 3.
He's got 3?
And
okay.
I don't even, and I'm blanking on when he got those. When did he get those?
Few and far between.
Yeah, because you could have had it against Denver last year. You chose not to win. I don't want to kick field goals. Good job there, Matt. You could have had it against the Colts. I'm just going to let, some rookie quarterback embarrass me. Or Anthony Rich, I guess he's not a rookie, a red shirt.
Yeah, it's the second year, but still single-digit starts for him, too.
And then he comes out and he's got a chance. And remember what we said about Bill Belichick's trademark was how he took care of and disposed of rookie quarterbacks. Eberflus didn't do that. He didn't dispose of Jaden at all. And so now we see a team that desperately needs this win on the road, and our fingers are crossed. Do I think that they could get it? Yes. Would I be surprised if they lost this game? No. No, I would not.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. But here's the one thing I will tell everyone here. Eberflus is going nowhere. And everybody's like, Bears fire no coach during the season. He will get evaluated at the end of the season. But the biggest fear of all, Blake, is like you said earlier. If it's going to happen, then we're just going to have to suffer and have a 7-win, maybe 6-win season, and then sayonara Eberflus. But if this dude wins 9, he's staying. He's staying. And that's where we're at with it, and that's what we're going to have to live with. So, yeah, big time must-win game from the Bears, from Matt Eberflus to try to get confidence back in his team, confidence back from his locker room. And it's not going to be easy. I mean, if Montez Sweat doesn't play, we saw what this defense was like before Montez came here. They were decent, but they weren't elite. And so if Montez is not able to play, will they keep that elite level? I don't know. We're going to find out, though, in a couple weeks. This is The Truth About Chicago Sports here on WRMN 1410. I'm joined in studio by Nick No Gimmick Johnston, also joined in the call-in line by Blake Cowell. Blake, tell everybody where they can find you this week when you're not here.
Yeah, you can find me on, we were talking earlier, you can find me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, Blake Cowell X on X, Blake Cowell X on all platforms, as well as Lakeshore Radio streaming on Spotify. We do Bears pregame, postgame, as well as Cubs offseason is a big topic right now, so you can find me on there as well.
Excellent. I want to send a shout out to Nick No Gimmick for running the board today. Great job, my brother.
Thank you very much.
Always Matty McNeil, or like I like to call him, Matty Ice McNeil, who's our producer. Shout out to the owners, the guys who run this place for us, Dean and Sonar. We love you so for letting us have fun on this Sports Saturday
Final score
at Fox
prediction?
Valley. 30-20.
30-20 Bears. Okay. I'm going to go 21-13 Bears.
31-13 Bears. Copy you. You guys have heard it here. We've all laid down our predictions. Blake, thank you once again for joining us this week, brother. Look forward to you coming back next week again.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it as always.
Yes, thank you, Nick. Thank you for joining too, brother. It's been another great show. Thank you to all of our callers. We appreciate it. And once again, have a great weekend. Watch some sports and enjoy yourself. This has been The Truth About Chicago Sports. We're out.
Election day is here, and WRMN 1410 is your trusted source for the facts. Federal races, county board seats, local offices, and advice.